You hear me? It's good to be here. All right. So yes, my name is Dr. Rob Irwin, and I'm a sports psychologist. And my company is called Sport of Mind. And someone once told me that, Rob, you are like counterculture. I said, what's that? He's like, well, it's kind of like you to psychology is like Alex P. Keaton to the hippies. So I dated you guys right there. So we're here today to talk about, ask a question. What if you could change the core belief that holds you back? And so when I wrote out the question, I started thinking about it more and more. The word belief is so jargon. I believe I can bench press a certain amount in a few weeks. I believe or trust and have faith in certain things. In this particular case, we're talking about belief as in the core belief. And interestingly enough, when I graduated, I got licensed, and after all this time, I'm going to go out there and work with athletes and clients, and I go up to the first golfer I see that I kind of know. I'm like, hey, I'm a sports psychologist now, and you're a golfer, and let's work together, and we'll get better. He says, so let me get this straight. So what do? Well, we come in the office, and we talk, and he's like, so you and I talk, and then I hit the ball further and straighter and win. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound very easy, huh? Like, how's that going to translate? So I did what I do best. I went back to the books, and I opened up neuroscience. And I wanted to get as close as I could to a cause and effect behavioral result. And psychology is great, but it seems like it's so down the road. So neuroscience was as close as we could get to what's happening first. And from that, beliefs really, they started figuring out the brain matter and how the brain can change and how a belief is formed and changed. And most people thought the brain was actually crystallized. It didn't actually grow or evolve, but that's not true. We actually see it all the time. And there's the cool little decal going. Oops. So if we go back a slide, I created a seminar called Train Your Brain. And it was on neuroscience, and it was a fun, easy way to communicate this to people, how they can simply change their belief. And this was before I figured out how hard it was to get inside someone's head to a predominant belief. I've been doing this for over a decade. I've had probably 5,000 graduates. And from the little idea I had in the shower, sorry about that, too much information, created a system for which to uncover people's negative beliefs, predominant negative beliefs. Well, it started out with me asking them, so who in the audience here has a negative belief? And who would like to share that negative belief with all of us? And I thought they were just like not being vulnerable. They were actually incapable of finding that out. So it is hidden, and we also found out that it's primarily negative. But we do know now that we can change it. So I created many different ways to connect with these people on discovering their negative belief. So first I started, where do these beliefs come from? Well, when you're born, you have genetics, and then you have some nurture, parents and family and friends and teachers. Age whatever, 3, 7, 12, your personality kicks in. So now you have all this information coming into a funnel. And eventually your perception, which I wish I had more time to talk about that, perception, you put that all together and you come up with this core belief. It is quite the soup. But once you have that figured out, once your brain figures that out, it kind of creates an operating system or a formula in which you react to the world going forward. So you have the core belief. We realize that what is driving most of your feelings, actions, and ultimately results is this belief. So now it's gaining in importance, gaining in value. How do we find it? How do we get in there? And what we came up with was something called the belief matrix. So in the shower, once again, I'm sitting there. How do I connect with these people? How do I connect with their negative belief? Possibly negative. And I felt like, okay, I know that the brain works in very mechanical ways. If we were to go from the result and work backwards, maybe we could sneak up on this thing. So we gave it a go a couple times, and sure enough, it started to work. So I'd ask them what their negative belief was, which may have been unworthy, not an easy thing to share. And they couldn't come up with it. So let's start with the results. So the results would be, I don't like my job, I don't like my house, I don't like my life. Well, let's just take that result and take it a step further. What actions would drive that? Certain actions such as, I'm settling, I get by, I maybe put myself down. Well, let's keep that there and go one step further is like the feelings. What kind of feelings is going to drive that action? Well, I'm going to be sad or unmotivated and depressed. And ultimately, the sneak, getting around the ego is what kind of belief would drive those feelings? So now it's not a personal question, it's just what kind of belief would drive those sad, unmotivated, and depressed feelings? And sure enough, this discovery process was simple enough and yet nice enough for people to relax and take it on. And when they did, they kind of got these butterflies. I mean, it was an awful thing of realizing that your belief is unworthy. Like, ouch. But the good part is we don't have to stay there. We now know we can change it. So we start the belief matrix again. Well, what kind of life do you want? Well, I want to feel love. I want a wife, be happy with my wife and my house and my career. Well, great. What kind of actions would drive that? Well, I show up early, I play big, I take care of myself. Well, that isolated event sounds like a good idea, but what feelings would drive that? And, some feelings like being energetic or confident. And then what kind of belief would drive those feelings? And so there it was. They finally were able to flip something, discover and then flip something that's priceless to them. We know that the brain has willpower or a conscious brain, and we also know it has an unconscious brain, part of the brain. The conscious part is probably 0.1%, but we'll call it 5%. So we got a conscious brain of 5%, unconscious brain of 95%. So the unconscious brain is very automatic. So 95% of the time, you are going to get the results that are directly related to your belief. Okay. So we also figured out where to go from there, and how to program yourself. And it's approximately 90 days to create a new habit, new belief, and from there you automatically will get the new results. So let me check the time real quick here. So if you're interested, can I get a show of hands? Who's interested to discover their negative belief? Excellent, excellent. You could look me up over at the breakout session. So I want to thank you for having me. You know where to find me for your negative beliefs. Is that a good tone?